The laughter echoed through the glittering ballroom before the music had even begun. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead, cameras flashed from every corner, and hundreds of wealthy guests dressed in designer gowns and tailored tuxedos turned toward the stage. Standing beneath the brilliant lights was not a celebrity, not a famous performer, but a quiet janitor wearing a freshly pressed second-hand suit that barely hid years of hardship. Some smiled with amusement. Others whispered cruel jokes. They believed they were about to witness the night's biggest embarrassment. None of them knew that within a few minutes, every heartbeat in that room would change forever, and not a single person would leave the same. Before this unforgettable story continues, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes in kindness and second chances, and subscribe to Heartline Stories. Your support helps us bring more inspiring stories that remind the world compassion still exists. Every morning before sunrise, Rowan Mercer unlocked the heavy doors of Ashford Financial Tower. While executives arrived hours later carrying expensive briefcases and ambitious dreams, Rowan quietly swept polished floors, emptied trash bins, fixed broken lights, and cleaned offices no one else thought about. At 38 years old, life had tested him more times than he cared to count. After losing his wife, Nora, to a sudden illness 5 years earlier, Rowan became the only parent to his 8-year-old daughter, Hazel. Every paycheck disappeared almost as quickly as it arrived, covering rent, groceries, school supplies, and medical bills left behind. Yet no matter how exhausted he felt, Hazel never saw bitterness in her father's eyes. She only saw the gentle smile of a man determined that her world would remain full of hope. Few people at Ashford Financial knew anything about the quiet janitor. They nodded politely when passing him in the hallways but rarely asked about his life. They certainly never imagined that every evening, after putting Hazel to bed, Rowan sat beside the old upright piano that had belonged to his late wife. It was scratched, slightly out of tune, and missing several pieces of ivory, yet it remained his sanctuary. Music became the language that carried his grief when words failed. Unknown even to his closest co-workers, Rowan possessed a voice so rich and emotional that anyone fortunate enough to hear it felt every lyric deep within their soul. Meanwhile, the company's celebrated CEO, Cassandra Vale, was preparing for the annual Ashford Charity Gala, the city's most prestigious fundraising event. Every influential business leader, politician, and philanthropist would attend. Wanting to entertain her elite guests, Cassandra jokingly accepted a suggestion made during a planning meeting. Someone remarked that inviting the building's janitor onto the stage would make everyone laugh before the real performers appeared. Without thinking about the human being behind the uniform, Cassandra approved the idea. To her, it was harmless amusement. She never imagined how deeply those few careless words would alter her own life. When Rowan received the invitation, confusion quickly turned into quiet suspicion. He knew he was being mocked. Yet Hazel looked at the elegant invitation with shining eyes and told her father that maybe this was his chance to show the world who he truly was. Her innocent belief outweighed every doubt. Rowan borrowed a suit from a church charity, polished his worn shoes until they reflected light, and promised himself he would face whatever happened with dignity. The night of the gala arrived beneath brilliant blue skies, filling the city with warm afternoon sunshine before the elegant evening celebration began. Luxury cars lined the entrance while photographers captured every glamorous arrival. When Rowan stepped out of a modest taxi holding Hazel's small hand, countless curious eyes followed them. Some guests smiled politely. Others struggled to hide their amusement. Hazel squeezed her father's hand with quiet confidence, reminding him that courage sometimes meant walking directly into places where you felt least welcome. Inside the magnificent ballroom, Cassandra welcomed guests while barely noticing Rowan take his seat near the back. As dinner ended, the master of ceremonies announced a surprise performance from one of Ashford's own employees. Laughter spread gently through the audience as Rowan slowly approached the stage. He could almost hear whispered assumptions floating across the room. Many expected a joke. Others expected complete disaster. Rowan closed his eyes as he stood before the vintage microphone. For one silent moment, the ballroom became perfectly still. Then the first note escaped his lips. It wasn't simply beautiful. It was heartbreak transformed into hope. His voice carried every lonely night, every sacrifice, every hidden tear he had buried for his daughter. He sang an old ballad that Nora had loved, filling each verse with memories too deep for ordinary conversation. Every word painted invisible pictures of love that refuses to die, of parents carrying impossible burdens, and of ordinary people finding extraordinary strength through compassion. The laughter disappeared almost instantly. One woman quietly lowered her wine glass before tears rolled down her cheeks. An elderly businessman removed his glasses to wipe his eyes. Several waiters stopped working entirely, frozen by the overwhelming emotion filling the room. Even the photographers forgot to press their cameras as silence replaced every distraction. Cassandra felt her chest tighten. She realized, with growing shame, that she had invited this remarkable man only to entertain others at his expense. Instead, he had exposed something far more uncomfortable than embarrassment. He had revealed how easily people judge someone without knowing their story. When Rowan finished the final note, complete silence remained for several breathtaking seconds. Then one guest slowly stood and applauded. Another followed. Soon every one of the nearly 300 attendees rose to their feet. The standing ovation lasted several minutes as tears flowed openly throughout the ballroom. Hazel ran toward the stage, wrapping her father in the biggest hug her small arms could manage. The audience applauded even louder as Rowan knelt beside his daughter, holding back tears of his own. Unable to ignore what had happened, Cassandra walked onto the stage. Her carefully rehearsed speech vanished completely. Looking directly at Rowan, she admitted before everyone that she had invited him for the wrong reasons. She confessed that she had failed to see his humanity beneath his uniform and publicly apologized with genuine humility. It was one of the rare moments when true leadership meant admitting painful mistakes instead of hiding them. The story spread across social media before the night had even ended. Videos of Rowan's performance reached millions of viewers within days. Music producers contacted him with opportunities he had never imagined. Local schools invited him to speak about perseverance. Community organizations raised enough money to eliminate his family's remaining debts. Yet despite every new opportunity, Rowan remained the same gentle father who believed kindness mattered most when no one was watching. Months later, Ashford Financial created scholarship programs for employees' families and introduced company-wide initiatives celebrating every worker regardless of job title. Cassandra often admitted that the greatest lesson of her career came not from business school or boardrooms but from a janitor who taught an entire ballroom the true meaning of dignity. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with your friends and family, leave a heartfelt comment, and subscribe to Heartline Stories. Every act of support helps us continue sharing stories that inspire hope around the world. Special request: comment below with the words, "Kindness always wins," if you believe every person deserves to be seen for who they truly are, not for the job they do. Sometimes the most unforgettable voices are the ones the world never bothered to hear. Sometimes the greatest performances happen not because someone seeks applause, but because life has filled their heart with a song too powerful to remain silent. And sometimes, all it takes is one unexpected moment for hundreds of strangers to remember that behind every uniform, every title, and every ordinary face is a story worthy of compassion, respect, and love.